a volunteer who wants to lead us in a word of prayer? Okay, yes, Haka.
Okay, let's humble ourselves for a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this day. Thank you that you've enabled us to be here today as we are going to start our life skills session. May you come and be with us and guide us. In Jesus' name I've prayed. Amen.
Okay, thank you so much for the word of prayer, and we want to welcome everyone for this session. Thank you so much for joining. So I'm happy to introduce to you teacher Juliet. She's going to be our facilitator today for this session. She has been facilitating in many of the sessions we have been holding. She's an experienced counselor and also a psychologist. So she's going to be sharing with us. In case you have any questions, you feel free always to ask, probably at the end of the session, such that we do not interrupt. Thank you. Teacher Juliet, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kaziba. Thank you, everyone. So you're all welcome to the session. Thank you to the person who has given us a prayer. I hope you can hear me wherever you are. So today we are going to talk about accountability. And like I said, that when we talk about accountability, we shall find that we need to be responsible for our actions. So I would like to apologize once again. I've been late for an hour, so it was not my making. I'm really sorry. I do apologize. Something came up this morning and I had to address it. And I have been driving a long journey. So, but I'm happy to be here and we thank God for this afternoon. It's a beautiful day today. It was raining in the morning, but it's a bit sunny and, cool. So here I am to talk about accountability. What should we know as teens? So I want to believe, much as some of us might be above 20, some of us might be below that, but I want to assume that we are all teenagers in one way or the other, as long as we are still in secondary school. Yeah, I believe we are teenagers in our way. So that is why we have that topic, accountability, what teens should know. So as I've already been introduced, that is me, Juliet Kavuma. I'm a school counselor. I work in a school. I'm a counseling psychologist. But before that, I was a teacher for many years before I ventured into this field. Okay, so when we talk about accountability, what is it? What should we know about accountability? First and foremost, accountability is when you take responsibility for your actions. For everything that we do, there is usually a consequence, whether positive or negative. So we have to be responsible for the things that we do. Accountability also refers to the obligation or willingness to accept responsibility for one's actions. That is according to Webster's dictionary. It is also taking responsibility for our actions, our decisions, and the outcomes. So for everything that you think about, every action that you take, everything that you do, just know that at the end of the day, there is an outcome, either positive or negative. And are you ready to take responsibility for the outcome? We should be willing to accept ownership and consequences of our behavior, whether negative or positive. That is according to psychology today. So sometimes you find that people do things, and then when they find themselves in a kind of a fix, they start blaming others. Some of us end up under peer pressure doing things that we wouldn't normally do. For example, these days we know that whether we like it or not, or whether we deny it or not, we know that students are taking drugs in some schools or when they are home. they are taking alcohol, when they are home, when they are in school. So what are the consequences of that kind of behavior? And before you engage in that kind of behavior, maybe because of peer pressure, are you ready to face the consequences? Whether they are negative or positive, I don't know if there is any consequence that is positive as far as taking drugs and alcohol is concerned. I don't think there is. So for all the negative consequences, are you ready to take ownership, to accept ownership for those consequences? How are you going to handle the outcome of whatever you are doing? So we have, as students, we need to think about these things as children, as people who are still in school, because accountability does not stop at when we are in school, but it also goes on into your adulthood. It goes on into the careers that you're going to do. Everywhere you go, you will find that you need to be accountable. So why is it important to be accountable? It is important because it empowers us to learn from our experiences. And when we learn from experiences, we improve and we grow. For example, if you end up, maybe if you, let me give a school setting. If you do happen to fall under peer pressure and you end up doing things that are not normally allowed in school, for example, vaping, because I know vaping is it's very common because the vaping pens are very common and they are cheap and students are buying them without even their parents' knowledge. So when you bring it into school, and then you find yourself, because of peer pressure, you're engaging in that kind of activity, okay? If you're caught, definitely the rules and regulations will probably say dismissal or suspension. Now, if you're lucky to get a suspension and you come back into school, are you ready to learn from that experience? If you do learn from that experience, then you'll be able to improve and grow. You won't run with the same crowd again. But if you're not ready to take accountability, then slowly by slowly, you're going to slip down the drain. That is for sure. By the time you get to university, where you have all the freedom there is in this world, where nobody's going to ask where you slept, what you did, whether you're attending lectures or etc., by the time you reach that time, I don't know whether you'll be able to control yourself. Accountability instills discipline in our routines and behavior. Whenever we are accountable to something, we know that I have to follow this kind of routine. I have to behave this way, because if I don't, there are consequences and I might have to pay for them heavily. It helps us to clearly define what we want and how to achieve it. Because now you end up knowing that, should I be run down by peer pressure? Should I be going or running around with this crowd? Should I be missing my lessons? Should I be not attending? Should I be, doing my own thing even when I'm in school? When you learn to be accountable, when you learn to take responsibility, you clearly define what you want and how you're going to achieve it. When we are accountable, we become focused on a task. We keep away distractions and procrastination. Right now, we are at home. Most of us probably go to schools where they don't allow phones. We don't have access to electric gadgets. But when we get home, we have the mobile phones. We can access mobile phones wherever we want. But again, we don't forget that much as we are home, we are supposed to relax. Some of us have exams as soon as we go back to school. So how are we going to get ready or prepare for those exams? We have to keep away distractions. If you are accountable, if you are responsible for your actions, you will be able to put your phone aside at least for 2 hours and do some bit of reading. You'll be back to school. Will you be ready for that exam that is coming? Do not procrastinate. Accountability enhances commitment, therefore keeping us helping us to dedicate time to achieve our promises. We become committed if we are accountable. You commit yourself and say, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be there, I want to dedicate my time to this because I'm looking forward to something better in future. So you become committed to achieving that. Accountability empowers us to make informed and wise decisions, well knowing that we are accountable for the outcome. If you decide to run with a crowd that is negatively impacting you, definitely the decisions you're making are not wise. But if you're responsible and accountable and well knowing that if I do this, this is the outcome. If I do that, that is the outcome. If you weigh the outcome and you know that I can handle such consequences, usually positive consequences, then you go ahead. If you weigh and you find they are very negative consequences, can you handle? Ask yourself. So accountability empowers us to make informed decisions, well knowing that we are accountable for the outcome. Thank you. Accountability helps us to build trust and respect. It promotes responsibility and independence. Teenagers like their independence. But how many people are going to give you the independence if you're not responsible? Many of our parents are distrustful. They do not allow us to go for parties. They do not allow us to go there, to go here, to be alone. They want to keep a tab on wherever we go. Why? Are we responsible enough? Have we done things that show that we are responsible? We can handle the world out there. Accountability allows us to promote responsibility and independence. It prepares us for adulthood. None of us on this platform is growing while becoming a year younger. None of us is becoming 12 again. None of us is becoming 14 again. But instead, we move to 13, we move to 15, we move to 20. And before you know it, you'll be an adult. So if you're not accountable in your teenage years, in your childhood, that means you will grow up being, this kind of person who is entitled. You are entitled. You think the world is yours. Everything is yours. Whatever you want, you get. That's not the way the world works. The world does not work that way. So if we become accountable when we are young, we get to know the consequences of all our actions. We get to learn the positive consequences. We get to learn the negative consequences. And as we grow into young adults, we just keep on adding onto the lessons and we become better and better. Likewise, if we don't, the negative bit of it comes out. It promotes self-confidence. When a teen realizes that they can influence, that should have been can, they can influence outcomes through choices and behavior, they become self-confident with high belief in one's own capabilities. Each time you are accountable for something and you notice it's coming out well, it is good, it is producing positive results, your confidence is growing. And this world needs people who are confident. If you're confident, you achieve, you become an achiever. Whenever you're not confident, your self-esteem is low. Nobody wants to have somebody whose self-esteem is trampled on. We all need to build our self-esteem, and accountability helps us to do that. Continue. Types of accountability. What should we know when we talk about accountability? One of the things we should know is that we need to be personally accountable, personally responsible. This refers to the responsibility that individuals hold for their own actions and decisions and behavior. So if you're personally responsible, you as a person, without blaming others if things don't go right. Let me give you an example. You find the students, they've done their exams, they've done their midterm and etc. And then things don't come out well. then they come to talk to you about it. One of my first questions usually is, are you sure you prepared enough? And if you tell me you prepared enough, we try to go through what did you do? For example, mathematics. How did you prepare? For example, English language. How did you prepare? For example, this subject. How did you prepare? Hmm? So we look at those different things and we see. And then we also find the loopholes where things, we are not so good. And then we say, my dear, I think here you ought to adapt another method to make it better. Can you try this and this? What do you think you can do to make things better? So as a person, you're accountable for the results that you have. You're not going to say, my teacher did this, my teacher marked me wrongly, my teacher. Those are usually the excuses. And if you have such excuses, it means that everywhere you go, you're going to blame someone else. My friends did this, my friend led me here. Did your friends just pull you to take you wherever you did the crime from, or you broke the rules from? You need to learn to be accountable and accept the consequences and serve punishments if they are there. But if you become accountable, you'll find that you won't find yourself in what? There are so many students who go through school without being punished because they have learned to be accountable. They have learned to be in the right place at the right time, taking ownership of your mistakes and apologizing where necessary. What is happening to the children these days? Apology is never it's never on their lips. You find someone who first argue and say things like, I'm not responsible, it is my friends. I'm not responsible, it is because this, it is because this, it is because that. Yet sometimes just a simple apology for a mistake that has been committed can wipe away so many. It can soften the hardest of hearts. Making choices that align with personal values and principles. By now, we did self-awareness last year or last term, holidays, we did self-awareness. If you were in that session, by now you should know who you are. You should have, weighed yourself, knowing your strength and your weaknesses, being or knowing who you are, and therefore not running around with the wrong crowd. You should know your personal values. What are the things that you believe in? And because of those things that you believe in, they are sometimes going to help you not to run with a wrong crowd. They are going to help you to stick to certain principles for you to be able to earn, to achieve whatever it is that you set your heart to. Practicing self-discipline. As in, this in a way looks like principles. If you have discipline, you as a person, then it would be very difficult for you to land yourself in trouble. But whenever you are indisciplined as a person, you will end up running with the wrong crowd. Managing your emotions. Emotions can lead us into so many things. If we make decisions using emotions, sometimes we don't get what we want. Imagine a scenario where some person comes and tells you in a school setting, a person comes and tells you, you know what? That girl has said this and this and that. And then you get annoyed immediately. And immediately you go after that girl. Not knowing, is the person who has told you, is she telling you the truth? Eh? Or maybe she has a grudge with the other person. She has a bone to pick. Now she's pinning certain words on her, well knowing the kind of person you are. And then you go to attack the other person. And because the emotions are too high, sometimes you end up, ending up in a fight. And I know in schools, that is definitely prohibited. It is dismissible. It is, can get you a suspension. Is that what you want? So we need to learn to manage our emotions. When we learn to manage our emotions, that means we are accountable for our consequences. Okay, next. Social responsibility. Now, social responsibility is that you have towards others in your social circles. Now, your social circles are not really that big. You as a student, most of your social circles, because you spend most of that at school, probably from at school, class, housemates, debt, and all those other. Then we start from home before going to school, and then colleagues, meet at acquaintances, people that we meet at church, etc. Then the community, people around you, the church community, maybe some of you go for coaching in holidays, that kind of community that you meet. Generally, the responsibility you have towards those people, that is what we call social responsibility, because each person you meet in a way has something they either add or subtract from your life. Contributing positively, for example, in school projects, in church projects, in co-curricular activities. If you are a student and you have nothing wrong physically, and you go through a school system without playing any game, any sport, my dear, how are you managing the academic stress? Because the first pill, the first medicine to the extreme academic stress we go through as students should be the sports that we play, the games that we play in our schools. Each time you are so loaded, you know that at the end of the day, I'm going to engage in a vigorous sport. At the end of the day, I'm going to use my brain to play chess. Don't be the kind of student who goes through school, a school system 1 to 4 years, and then S5 to S6 without having anything that you engage in. Please, if you've been that kind of person, find a way. And I'm not talking about competitive sports. It can be competitive, yes, well and good, you're talented, tick, beautiful. But find something that you can engage in. Why? It helps to build discipline. It helps to get you friends. Some students struggle to find friends. And then you find someone asking, how do you make friends? How should I make friends as a student? These are some of the activities that can help you. You meet someone on the court, you'll be able to learn to play basketball, teach each other, engage in it, talk about it. It will help you to make that friend. And then respect and well-being of others. When the people around us are not well, their negativity sometimes, wears off on us. So we need to be well. Much as this is the world, the problems are everywhere, people have issues. It can't be a straight line. But where we can we respect authority? Can we respect others and their property? Are you that kind of student who opens other people's suitcases to help yourself to their money? Are you that kind of student who checks their bags and under their pillows to pick their money and personal property? Where is your respect? So respect other people's rights and their well-being. Each time you do something to another person, you're harming them and you don't know how far you're harming that person or hurting that person. Standing up against injustice, against bullying and discrimination. Now, I'm not saying you're going to stand up against your teachers and rally and, be against them and, you need to do it with respect. You need to understand that much as you are a student and you have rights, you are in a school system and there are teachers who I want to believe must have the ability to handle whatever situation because they have gone through that training. They are the adults to help out. I cannot also deny that some teachers sometimes can lose their emotions. But where you can, behave responsibly. If you are that bully who bullies others, because now you are in senior 2, you feel the world has come to you and you are the world. My dear, learn to be accountable. I remember when we were in secondary school, in the 19 whatevers, I remember that in Namiriango College, There was a boy who was teased and bullied. I don't know exactly what happened, but he ended up dead. So if, God forbid, you find yourself in such a situation, in this era where the laws, the rules, and etc. work, what do you think is going to happen to you? Do you think at 14 you're too young to be taken to court? Did you read the newspapers of those young boys who tied a twin against the bed and then set the dormitory on fire? Are you the kind of student who is going to engage in that kind of activity? Are you ready to face the consequences of the actions that you're taking and the choices that you're making? Stand up against injustice. That is part of social responsibility. So when we are socially responsible, we build strong relationships, we build mutual respect, and we have a sense of belonging in our communities. Academic accountability. This applies to you as a student. You are in school, first of all. The major reason as to why you are in school is for academics. And then other things follow. Friendships follow, sports follow, and all those other things. But the major reason as to why you are in school, it's because of academics. Therefore, you should be accountable. If I'm to add on, you should be accountable for the money that is being paid. You see how parents are struggling to pay money. You see how the economy has gone haywire. You see how the entire world is struggling here and there. Be accountable. Hold your end of the bargain. And your end of the bargain is academic responsibility. Be the responsible student who is accountable towards your education. Meet your academic expectations. Seek help and support from peers, from teachers, maybe from parents. Academically, seek that support. Don't be so proud to sit back with your 20% in mathematics. Be accountable for that 20%. Be accountable enough to stand up and find out, why am I getting this? Can I make it better? Surely if there is nothing physically and mentally wrong with you, there is no reason as to why you should fail to achieve. Strive for excellence. Complete your assignments. Study diligently. Don't wait for exams to come around for you to start preparing. If you are in school, you're there to prepare from day one. Respect and have academic integrity, academic honesty. Avoid cheating. Don't be that student who sneaks into an examination room with papers to cheat. That student who goes in first and writes answers on that table. That student who puts, a paper somewhere or writes on their thighs or their palms, or under the watch where you put the watch and then you write answers there. You are not academically responsible. You need to be responsible. You need to be honest in whatever you do. You start your cheating now, the cheating will follow you wherever you go. Before you know it, you are in places of responsibility, because surely you are the next leaders and you're going to be in places of responsibility. So if you don't become accountable right now, what will happen to you as adults in places of responsibility? You will be the future corrupt leaders of this nation, wherever you go. Next. So what happens if you're academically responsible? Because since we are students here, we should be academically responsible. When you are academically responsible, you maximize your learning. Because when things don't go well, you try to seek answers, you try to seek support, you try to seek solutions, and you try to better yourself. And therefore, you maximize your learning. If you are academically responsible, you achieve your academic goals. By now, we should know how to set goals. What do I want? Do I want to improve here or there? What is it that what is my target? What grade do I want to achieve? Am I going to just sit down and wait for the grade to come to me? It will not. So set your academic goals and then you'll be able to achieve them. You develop knowledge if you are academically responsible, if you are accountable for your academics. You gain knowledge. I mean, academics is all about gaining knowledge. You become better. Your skills and you gain knowledge and skills necessary for your future success, especially in higher education and career aspirations. Remember what I said about if you are not accountable right now, what will happen to you when you are above 20 and you are at university, above 18 and you are at university, and nobody's there to follow you up? Your parents will just pay fees and they won't. I mean, you've heard that these days, the other time the Vice Chancellor of Makerere University said that the major epidemic right now in universities is students using their tuition money for betting. It is a major epidemic. In fact, he said around 1,000 students, I think, drop out every year. 1,000, that is a full school. Imagine your school where you go. A full school, all those children dropping out of university. What are they doing? They are using their money for betting. Now, if you do not develop accountability, knowing that this money is for fees, I am responsible for this money, it has been given to me, I have to pay it. But then you decide to okwozamu, like people say these days, nozi yumungus, and then the money doesn't come out. That is why we have so many problems with young people committing suicide, people doing this, people becoming alcoholics, drug addicts, because they have not been accountable enough for their academics and other issues. When you are responsible academically, you develop integrity and responsibility. You are the kind of person who cannot be found cheating. That whatever you do it rightfully because you have values and principles. You also become empowered to take on future endeavors because the training begins now. The training won't begin later. There, what you're doing is not exactly training. You now have you have the knowledge already. As a young person, as you grow, the accountability is also growing. So by the time you get into the careers, the job market, you know exactly what is expected of you, and you're just adding on the training that you get from there. So we need to learn to be academically responsible. Okay, so I'm going to pause a bit. We're about to finish, by the way. I think we have a few slides to go. There is a hand, Namuluta. Maybe wants to ask a question. I'll pause and let her ask.
And unfortunately, her microphone is off.
Oh.
Okay.
So maybe she should write it in the chat.
Yes.
Hey. Okay.
Maybe there are some children who may want also to ask. They can raise their hands.
Okay. Any other person, if you want to ask something, please unmute yourself. Unmute and ask.
Madam.
Yes, please.
I never finished the first slide.
Hey, I think Mr. Kaziba will share the slide in your group WhatsApp.
Okay.
Because we started a bit late, we want to finish, but you will get the slides.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other person? Okay, I see hands.
Yes, Bernard.
Excuse me. I was asking that in a way of being accountable, how in case like you've done your exams, you're positive, you know that you're going to pass, but then unfortunately they come back when you failed. How accountable are you going to be to explain that to your parents?
Okay, I'm going to answer that. I think that I have a slide about practicing accountability. I will answer that question there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Accra.
Okay, to add on the previous speaker, there is this scenario where a student has not performed well, and when he goes back to the parents are really disappointed, and even they can even promise not to pay for his school fees. So this year is very stressed and depressed. Like what can she go through? Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Okay, thank you for that question. Now, if you are accountable, that means you will be ready to accept the consequences. What does that mean? Then you need to prepare more than ever before. In most cases, we have students who say, but I've read, I've put in a lot of effort. Okay, if you read the first time and things don't come out well, maybe in your beginning of term, because I know some people do beginning of term, and things don't come out well, and then you don't do anything about it. You just sit and wait for midterm. Midterm comes around. You still don't perform well, and you're still continuing to read the same way. I think there is a quotation that says that if you want change, but if you continue doing things the same way you have always done them, the change you're looking for will not come. So if you have read, you have given it your all, the first time things are not coming, the second time things are not coming, and you're just seated there, you're not changing the way you're reading, you're not bringing in consulting peers, you're not getting into group discussions, you're not giving yourself more time to read more, you're not consulting your teachers because most of you fear going to the staff room to speak to the teachers. I don't know why. So if you're not putting in any change, things will not change. They will continue being the same way. And when it comes to parents, I speak as a parent at this moment, we shall be bitter. Putting being a counselor aside, as a parent, I'll also be bitter because you're bringing a bad report. And I know there is nothing wrong with you. Some of you even were very capable in S1. Then you get to S2, you become wild, and things just go down the drain. Accountability helps us to realize that my report was not good in beginning of term. My report has not improved in mid-term. What should I do so that my end of term is better? How can I seek help? How can I make things better? If I have access to a phone, what am I using my phone for? Am I on my social media pages all the time? Am I Googling academic, issues, academic stuff, websites, etc.? There are so many. You live in a knowledgeable world where things are at the fingertips. What am I using my phone for? So whenever you're not accountable and you continue bringing the same kind of results, no parent will be happy. Education is very expensive, extremely expensive. People are making sacrifices to put you in school, and therefore you should hold on to your end of the bargain and bring things home. I must admit, the stress will be there, yes. But we have also gone through different ways of helping our stress to go down. I have talked about sports. Sports is the #1 activity that can help us to overcome the stress that we go through. Because they say sports produce that feel-good chemical that helps you to overcome the stress and put it down. But you're just there seated, lounging around. You're not even paying attention to any game, whether games as as calm as chess. You're not giving any kind of attention to them. You go through the entire system and you've not paid attention. The grades will not be well. Do something about it. Cheating has never been the answer. Instead, it's going to put you under pressure. As you go into that exam, you're carrying illicit material into the examination room. Your heart is thumping. Before you know it, you can even go into a heart attack. You can get a panic, whatever. You get into panic mode because you don't want to be caught. And for how long are you going to cheat anyway? For how long? For how long are you going to cheat? So members, let us start by being accountable. When we learn to be accountable, that I have taken this choice, it has not produced the results I want, there are so many actions available. Let me do or take on another action. Maybe it will bring the results that I want. They say mathematics is passing by practice. How many times do you ever sit down every day, if you're struggling with mathematics, to say, every day, I'm going to calculate at least 5 numbers to make my mathematics better? How many times have you done that? So sit down, be accountable, be self-aware, and ask yourself, am I doing the right thing? If I'm not, how am I going to make my report better? But on the other hand, I'll also say, we have done a few sessions for parents where we try to talk to them and show them that sometimes the too much pressure they put on the students can also be detrimental. So we have done that. But I don't want us as students to come and say, my parents need to understand. Because sometime I talked to a student who told me, my father is ever stuck on me about I picked out the word stuck. I wrote it on a piece of paper and I told her, let's find out the definition of this word, stuck on me. Your parent is paying a lot of money. If he's stuck on you to produce good results, it is not because he wants you to be a failure. It is because he wants accountability for his money, and he also wants you to secure a better future. Stop using language like my father is stuck on me to produce this kind of result. I hope I've answered that question. So I'm sorry, students, I'm going to be a little bit bitter with you today.
Okay, there's another one. Ryan.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ryan.
I just wanted to say that some of us are not in the WhatsApp group and I don't know how to join.
Yeah, Mr. Kaziba, you contact Mr. Kaziba.
Okay.
You can maybe put your number in the chat. He will probably pick it up and add you on the WhatsApp group.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Aaron.
I still.
Aaron.
Yes.
Okay. Ask.
Madam.
Yes, please. That is Henry.
There are some challenges that you can find at school, like somebody can finish to revise, and after all comes and distracts you who is revising. How can you do so?
Remember when we talked about self-awareness?
Yeah.
When we have values and principles, we learn to say no. But whenever we become pleasers, people will, they'll just do their own thing. Probably they have even finished revising and then they come to relax by distracting you who is still reading. But when we are self-aware, we start to say no. We learn to say no. There is nothing wrong with you telling this person, you know what, give me at least 30 minutes. I have something to complete here. But whenever you fear to say that and you become a people pleaser, you will continue losing out. You will continue procrastinating because you don't want to annoy the other party that is busy distracting you. I hope I have answered.
Yes.
Okay.
The last one, Aaron. I think we are failing to get those two. They can.
Okay. Okay, next slide. Okay, a few quotations here about a few quotations about accountability. The lower one says, though I'm not always responsible for what happens to me, I'm responsible for how I handle what happens to me. So sometimes we have no control over things that happen to us. We might have family problems and we have no way of handling those issues. They are beyond us and they affect us when we go to school. But when we get to school, sometimes we have people who can help us. We have people we can speak to. We have ways of controlling our thoughts and all that. We have activities to engage in to help us forget whatever is going on at school so that we are able to handle our academics. So I am responsible for how I handle what happens to me. Much as sometimes I'm not always responsible for what happens to me. Accept responsibility for your life. Know that it is you who will get you where you want to go, no one else. So most of you think you're reading for your parents. My dear, you're not. They'll be happy when you bring home a good report. They'll be happy when things are going on well for you. But let me tell you one thing. The moment you grow up and you all become your own person, most of you will forget even your parents. Most of you. You will not be responsible for them, or if you remember, you give them a call, or you send them a mobile money, etc. But will you be paying fees for them? No, my dear. You'll be paying fees for your children, your siblings, or etc. etc. So accept responsibility for your life. Know that it is you who will get you where you want to go. No one else. You're not reading for your parents. You're reading for yourself. And therefore, which vehicle are you? What are you taking on to help you understand what you're reading? So, Mr. Kaziba, I can't see the others. Maybe they are because I'm using the phone. Okay. The other one is it is easy to dodge our responsibilities, but we cannot dodge the consequences of dodging our responsibilities. You dodge reading, you dodge, practicing mathematics, you dodge attending lessons, you dodge everything. You have excuses for each and everything. You cannot dodge the consequences of dodging the responsibility of being in class. You cannot dodge the consequences of dodging the responsibility of actively participating in class and other things. When you blame others, you give up the power to change. Do you want to change? Be accountable. If all the time it is others, it is the other student, it is the other one, it is my parents, it is this, it is my mom, it is, you give up the responsibility to change. Next, please. What happens if you lack accountability? You damage relationships, definitely. If you're not responsible for the things that you do, you damage relationships because all the time you're saying it is the other one, it is not me, it is the other one. You cannot even apologize for things that you know you have gotten yourself into. You will damage the relationship between you and your colleagues, between you and your friends, between you and your community, between you and your parents. I mean, how many parents have we seen chasing their children out of their homes because of things they have done? We don't want to reach that extent. We don't want to test the waters. So you damage relationships. You get academic setbacks because now you have not been responsible towards your academics. You do not have any academic responsibility in you. You get setbacks. Things will not go well. You're not paying attention, you're dodging classes, you're not doing, attending lessons, you're not doing this. Each time you're sickish, you're falling sick genuinely, but, pretending to be sick and all that. If you're genuinely sick, that is understandable. But whenever you dodge, remember you won't dodge the consequences. Negative impact on future opportunities. Whenever you're not accountable, your opportunities are limited. Because people are looking, people are seeing, your parents are seeing, everyone is looking at you. Don't think you are young. Don't think that you're going to break the law because you were young. You were a young person, you were a child, you were a student. My dear, we've seen students ending up in the coolers. So all those negative things impacting on your future opportunities. When you become a criminal when you're still young, it will probably be hard for you to erase that kind of setback. Wherever you go, it will be, documented somewhere. So pay attention, be accountable, and be accountable positively. However, there are challenges. There are challenges as we try to become accountability, though those challenges also have strategies that you can employ to overcome. For example, if one of the challenges is peer pressure, that for you, you are the kind of person who is easily pushed and all the time you go with a crowd. How can you help yourself? Surround yourself with positive influences. Let your friends be people of reason. Let them be people of value, people of principle. Why are your friends? Why are you attracted to negative friends all that time? Why are you attracted to the wrongdoers? Yeah? So let the peer pressure be positive by surrounding yourself with positive influences. If you fear failure, build self-confidence, my dear. There are many little things that we can do within school to help us build self-confidence, to help us build self-esteem. Start by being maybe an assistant class monitress or class monitor. Continue to being a full class representative. Continue being, a representative here. Eh? Be the leaders. Most people go to schools where, prayer is key. People pray. Be that spiritual leader in the house, a person who never goes to bed without, saying a word of prayer, and you lead others in that prayer. Be the kind of person who leads everywhere. And before you know it, you'll be standing for leadership. You'll become a prefect. And when you become a prefect, later the sky is the limit. So those are some of the things. Don't always be the person who fears failure. I know failure is always with us. We fear a lot, but sometimes we need to be confident enough to take on tasks. Lack of support or role models. If you live in that community where there are no role models, there is no support, I think in a way you might be lying to yourself, because when we go to school, the role models are many. There are many role models. There is a lot of support, Some could be even fellow students, teachers, matrons, etc. They are those people that you look up to. If you live in a community, there are people that you can look up to. Your parents also. Most of our parents, we can look up to them. Our grandparents and their achievements, we can look up to them. So seek support from parents, teachers, mentors, and then you'll be able to strategize. You'll be able to be accountable. But each time you have the challenge of peer pressure, fear of failure, lack of support of role models and etc., you will not be able to grow. Okay, how should we practice accountability? We practice accountability through setting achievable goals and targets. I hope I'm answering some of the questions that came through. When you set your goals and your targets, if you're able to achieve those goals and targets, and remember we said achievable, if you're able to achieve them, then you're practicing accountability, because now you'll be accountable for the outcome of the goals that you have set. Making and keeping promises. They say a promise is a debt. If you make a promise that you cannot achieve, why the hell are you, sorry about the language, why are you making that promise, people? Why are you making that promise? So make promises that you can keep. Taking ownership of actions and accepting consequences. If you've been caught in the wrong, you accept and probably apologize, serve the punishment, accepting consequences, understanding I was wrong here. It's not that the teacher hates me. It's not that my parents don't like me. That's why I'm facing this. It's not that all the students are against me. Why you? You're not the only person there. There are many other people. Why you? Ask yourself. And then when you ask yourself that, go down and wonder, was I really in my right mind when I did this? accept the consequences. If they are good consequences, that is, I don't know if if they are good consequences anyway. If they are good, well and good. If they are bad, negative, too bad. Learn from experiences, grow, move on. Prioritize communication. Each time you have something squeezing you, hurting you, and you never say something about it, I want to believe that we go to communities where we have channels. I'm now talking about the school community, or even in homes, where we can have the littlest bit of saying something that is bothering us. If I can't speak to my parent, maybe I can speak to an auntie. Maybe I can speak to an elder brother or elder sister. Maybe somebody at church. Maybe there are so many people available that can help us to come to terms with whatever it is. So prioritize communication. But each time you keep all those issues inside, nobody will know what is bothering you. They'll just look at you and say, that girl is very gloomy. Eh? That boy is very cantankerous. That boy is gloomy, etc. So they don't know what is going on because you have chosen to keep mum. You're not communicating. Being reliable and trustworthy. Eh? You should be the kind of person where people say, oh, I think she'll be able to do that job. Oh, my daughter is going to perform very well. I'm very sure. Oh, my son is excellent. Or my son is good enough. My son is going to, to manage this. Oh, if you want that done, then get so and so to take on. So be that person who is reliable and trustworthy. Don't be the person they say, ha, you've told that one. I don't think it will be done. I think we don't want to be that, to have that kind of label. Resolve conflicts responsibly. If some person walks up to you, like I said, it tells you so-and-so is saying this about you, are you going to get up immediately and go and attack so-and-so because she has said this? Is that what you want? Resolve your conflicts responsibly. Meet your deadlines. You have homework to hand it in. Because where you're going at university, you have deadlines and nobody will be there to supervise you. And when you miss a deadline, you don't hand in your assignment, you don't hand in your practical or whatever it is that you're supposed to do, you will end up with a dead year, a semester, many carry papers, supplementary papers, and yet you have to pay for them. I mean, who wants to waste money in such things? So meet your deadlines. Be honest in your academic work. Don't be that cheat. Don't be that person who students rumor that one. She's performing well, but she's ever cheating. You don't want to be in that state. Be responsible as you use your social media. Be responsible. Whatever you put out there is going to last years. Maybe in future they will be able to get rid of it. But right now, whatever we put out there will last years, because if you've seen people regurgitate, I think that's the word, they keep on regurgitating information. Things that happened 2 years ago, they will bring it back as if it happened yesterday or as if it has just happened. So we need to learn. Be responsible as you use your social media. Are you going to be the person who shares nudes? Are you going to be the person who is the leader of the pack that cyberbullies others? Are you going to be the person who picks and pushes forwards all the time, even without reading through, even without, checking to see whether this is, responsible material? Is it depicting anything? Are you going to just push forward? Be responsible as you use social media. Social media is beautiful. It is good if you use it responsibly. It can also be deadly and dangerous. Manage your screen time. How long are you spending on that phone? During the day, maybe when the parents go to work and you're the lucky one who stays with your phone, are you going to spend the entire day on that phone? Be responsible. Manage your screen time. Be the person who promotes awareness of cyberbullying, because it is real. And many people are caving in silently because of cyberbullying. Are you the person who promotes, forwards things that have been said about the other person? Are you that kind of person? We are there. Okay, now these questions, I gave this talk somewhere, and these are some of the questions that came up. In social accountability, what is the best way to confront a person who is annoying you? I think there is somewhere where we say that we learn to handle our conflicts responsibly. The best way, I can't say this is the best way, this is what you should do. It depends on particular people. Some people are very emotional, that they first need to learn to control their emotions in order to handle an issue. Others are confrontational. They are very confident about themselves that if they find out something, they want to confront the person. But that confrontation can also be done responsibly. Others would rather sit the person down and say, my dear, I think this and this, you did this, please. We need to sort out this issue. Others would probably go to an elder, a matron, a teacher, an etc. to be able to address the issue that is going on between them and the other person who is annoying them. Because surely some people can be annoying, that is for real. But are you going to confront them all the time? Are you going to flex muscles with them? So we just need to study the situation. What can I do with this person? Can the teacher help me? Can the class teacher help me? Can the matron help me to handle this issue? Can the room leader help me? Can the class monitor help me? So there is that other person. Can I handle it responsibly? Then go ahead. How do we start friendships? There are so many ways to start friendships. They are limitless. But one of the ways to start friendships is to find people you have something in common. You probably sit together in class. Don't just keep quiet. Say hello. That hello can open up a friendship. Don't be so into yourself, reserved, that for you, you just enter class, no, not even a good morning. You just sit there, the entire day ends. You haven't said anything to your neighbors. The friendship will not start. Play a game, get involved into group activities. Get involved in church, get involved in the mosque, get involved in whatever religious belief that you follow. They are usually activities for children, for teenagers, for etc. Join the choir if you can sing. Join the sports team. Join whatever it is. Whether you were cheerleader, whether you are what, just be somewhere. If you want to start a friendship, you have to be somewhere. If you're just there in your own cocoon, even those who would want to be friends with you will fear because they don't know what to expect from you. They don't know how to approach you. How does one apologize? This question, apology, is something very easy, but also something very difficult to say. Start by being humble. If you're humble and you realize where you have gone wrong, then you'll find a way of being apologetic. Some people fear to say it. Other people can prefer to write it, to write an apology letter. Other people can simply say, I am really sorry, I'm indeed sorry, and etc. So you have to be apologetic. You have to be humble. Humility does not cost you anything. Be humble. How much should I keep my friendships? I don't know exactly what this question meant, but I think the friendships are good if they are positively impacting on you. If they are negatively impacting on you, then those are not friendships. They are leading you astray. Our friends should have our back in a good way. Our friends should be there for us in a good way. Okay, so how much should I keep my friendships? Keep friendships that positively impact on you. What should they do for me to be considered my friends? I think this question came from the same person. What should people do for me to be considered my friends? Why are you waiting for people to do something for you? What are you doing for them? Ask yourself that. How is your social accountability? How is your social responsibility? How are you engaged in your group work? How are you engaged in your community? How are you engaged in your friendships? Why do you wait for people to do things for you? Are you doing anything good for them? Ask yourself that. So those are the questions. Senoga has a question.
Madam, I kind of missed. I would like to rephrase on how we should start friendships apart from finding the thing we have in common. What other things can we use?
Okay, when you find things that you have in common, you'll find that it will be easy for you to break through. It will be like an icebreaker. You have something to talk about. Don't be, if you're reserved and you're ever into yourself, that means that people will fear talking to you because they don't know what to expect. They'll even look at you as you being arrogant, being extremely proud. They don't know what to expect. But if you walk into that class and you say hello, good morning to your neighbors, you are in the new curriculum where you study in groups. So do you ever speak to your group mates? Or are you the one who is always speaking on people and saying, I hate that person, I hate that person, I hate the other one, I hate the... You are in a group of 5, you hate 4 of them. You are the only one who doesn't hate himself. So you will not be able to form friendships. Friendships start with small things. You do not necessarily have to give that I'm going to give a pen, I'm going to give a book, I'm going to buy, to house this person, to give him break, to do this. Not necessarily. A simple hello, a simple how are you, how is your day can start a friendship. The games that you play, because now you become part of a team, can start a friendship. The people that you meet and you don't simply coil can also start a friendship. So there are many things that we can do in a school setting to help us start up friendships. But I know many people struggle. Many people struggle, but start with the simplest things. Okay. The simplest thing, like a greeting. Yes, please. There is another person whose hand is up.
Okay, madam. For me, my concern is on this part where you say, like, if you lack accountability, it damages relationships. And then you talked about you should learn how to be accountable for what you've done. There is this scenario, let me say, you've been expelled, but inside you've been expelled from school, and let me say maybe they said you disrespected a prefect or something like that. But yes, they have expelled you and all that, but literally what you did does not call for an expulsion, or like you literally didn't disrespect the prefect, or maybe you had some beef with the prefect and something like that. How can you really accept that? And actually, let me say, almost everyone sees that, yeah, she really didn't disrespect the girl, something like that. And the prefect is literally saying you disrespected her, what, all that. What can you do?
Claudia, we are giving excuses. By the time you're expelled, no school, no administration, no disciplinary committee just wakes up and says, you're going to leave our school, you're leaving. In most cases, you face a disciplinary committee. And when you do, they try as much as possible to find out what exactly happened. And if you're unlucky and you're caught in the hole and you end up on the other side, usually the school rules and regulations that you're given as you're entering that school, which most of us sign without reading, this is when they pull them out and ask you, my dear, did you read rule number 9? What is the penalty for this? And that is when you decide to be accountable. Because now you have found yourself, maybe I did something small to the prefect and I got beef, she had beef with me and I got expelled. If I'm going to another school, I should be the better person. I should be the better person. I'm going to learn from my experience. But the moment you continue saying it wasn't my fault, they hated me, I had beef with a prefect, You're not going to better yourself in the other school. You're going to continue doing the same things, and they might land you in the same problems.
Okay, madam, you've talked about investigation. In my school, we have what we call a black book. When you write in that black book, I don't know if they've ever done it to someone, but when you commit a crime and they take it to the disciplinary committee, they first check in the black book whether you had committed some crimes before. So there is a day they nabbed us for late coming, and the administrator literally was like telling us to write in the black book. I know people were pleading, but we were nabbed for late coming, and the administrator was telling us to write that we were dodging prep.
Okay. The moment you're late, depending on the school, some people will say that if you're late 5 to 10 minutes, you have dodged. And it will be clear. These things people take you through when you come for orientation in your first week in that school, if they do orientation for you, which I know that in most schools they do the orientation. And if they don't, probably you hear other students in the dorm saying this and this, etc. Here when you come late, because it's like the norm of the school. So if you write in that book the first time, make sure that you don't find yourself writing in that book for the second time. If there is a reason, a clear reason that is an excuse, well and good. If there is no reason, be on the right side of the law. Those sometimes we fail because of eventualities here and there, but if there is an eventuality, I know that people are adults, they tend to listen. So, Claudia, whenever you have excuses, you will always have excuses. You will not accept your issues, and even when you miss out in this school and you go to another school, the same issues will crop up. And you will probably end up in the same predicament you found yourself. And remember, the moment you join another school, after being expelled from another school, people always pay attention. That girl came here in S3, she was expelled from the other school. So somehow, somewhere, someone is keeping an eye on you. So you don't want to end up in the other. So always, in that negative situation of being expelled and being given a suspension, let's look at the positivity. I have been given another chance. I'm going to another school. I have been given a suspension. I'm coming back after 2 weeks. Should I continue doing the same thing? No. Let me learn. This time I will out 5 minutes late. This time I have to be in the place 5 minutes to the start of prep. So that I don't end up. Schools are run by rules and regulations.
Okay, madam.
And there is no community in this world that doesn't have rules and regulations. Even the workplaces where you're going, even the families where you stay, they are usually rules and regulations. They are do's and don'ts. So, Claudia, I hope I've answered that question.
Yes, madam. Thank you.
You're welcome. Akram? Unmute. Oh, sorry. Akram, unmute yourself.
Excuse me, madam.
Sorry? Say that again.
I'm the sister to Akram, and I'm trying to ask something. Like,
okay.
Depending on the scenario my brother gave, like how can that person try to change, like despite the fact that the person had been disciplined and doing other things wrongly, and eventually the person brought back a wrong report home, a bad report home, and the parents were upset. And then the parents were like, shall not pay you fees, we are not chasing you from home. But after some days, the parents told her to write an apology, and she wrote an apology. But writing the apology, she's given to do under a condition that she has to do everything in school as well. So is it too late for that person to change, or due to the picture?
It is never too late. It is never too late. Remember that quotation that said that whenever you have excuses, you never grow, you never change. If you want change, you have to accept the issues that are going on around you. You have to accept that my parents are this tough and they have given me a condition. So how am I going to help myself? If indeed I'm capable, which I think you are, how am I going to make things better? So it is never too late to change. We can change if we put our hearts to it, if we set our clear goals and make commitment, if we really become responsible and accountable, well knowing that if I continue doing things the way I've always done them, there will be no change. But if I change a few things here and there, within the school rules and regulations, within the do's and don'ts of my home, my family, my friends, etc., I'll probably be able to change. So it is never too late to change. We can change.
Okay, thank you, madam.
You're welcome. Patricia?
Thank you, madam. Okay. First of all, the first question, what is the best way to comfort a person who is annoying you? What happens if I just keep quiet and march away? And then also, there is this part where it's saying people, okay, people who are reserved, something like that. Okay, for me, I'm a reserved person. And
there is nothing wrong with being reserved, by the way.
Yes, and madam, you said that to make friends, okay, those people will talk about you being proud and so on. But I also remember last life skill lesson, you said we should be, okay, about self-awareness. You told us that not mind about what others say about you. So carry on with that, I think. And
You're
also,
a good student, Patricia.
Thank you. Then how can I help my friends? Like at school, I see them like the time for reading, they be like they're playing, let me say they're playing games and they are lying on the bed sleeping. And then they're all like, Miss, okay, I'm just reading to pass. Because I know there are some who are reading now may not be successful in future, but for us who are not reading, shall be successful. How do I help to change their mindset? Because I've tried, but I just understand, but I don't know how to help them.
Yeah, so sometimes some people refuse to change deliberately because now if you have tried talking to them and they are not changing the way they are doing things, in most cases, sometimes we don't have to tire talking, we continue talking. But if you speak for 4 years and then you come to the 4th year and the person is still doing the same thing, this person is now a candidate. There's a world where you just get tired and you do your own thing, okay? But never fail to try. Try and fail, but never fail to try. So continue talking. Maybe one time they will listen. Continue talking. If possible, sometimes maybe the class teacher can help out because that is the role of our class teachers. They might not know exactly what goes on in the dormitory, but at least the academic bit of it, they know. So they might not know that this person, when they go to the dormitory, they never do anything else. It is even when they have a chance to do some bit of reading. Maybe the class teacher can do a talk. Maybe you can whisper to the class teacher. Maybe. So there are many possibilities that you can do. If you have failed to talk to them, maybe an elder can help out. And going to the other bit where you said that you told us to be self-aware and not to care about people's words. Especially, I'm adding on this, words that are negative. Because whatever you do, you can never please 100% of the people. There will always be those people who say, that Kagal is so proud, that Kagal is this and this, etc. So those people will always be there. But if you know you're doing your things right, you're playing your cards right, you have an achievement, you have a goal and you want to achieve something and you're doing it right, You do not necessarily have to care about what other people say about you. That's why you find people who say, our parents have made money for us. I mean, money is available. We are just here to make friends and etc. If you listen to such people and you also go with the flow, so what will happen later? But even where money is available, I mean, they say, the Baganda say, Sente Mugenyi, the Baganda say money can be there today. Money is like a visitor. Tomorrow it might be gone. If COVID taught us anything, COVID taught us that we never take things for granted. Because today we might have everything and tomorrow it is completely gone. And the entire world is struggling today. So we can't be there saying, if our parents made money, it is there for us, etc. You know, you also need to make yourself better. I mean, that money can be there, but if you don't make yourself better, you might fail to manage that money. So don't listen to those people. That is where I mean that don't listen to such talk. Continue doing your positive things and you'll be able to get to achieve your goals that you set. Now, the other bit where you said some of us are so reserved. So I said that even when you're reserved, you need to learn to be accommodative of other people. I mean, just saying hello. Just because you're reserved doesn't mean you shouldn't even greet people around you, that you shouldn't associate with them. What kind of reservedness is that? We need to be realistic. We are human beings. We are man, and man is a social animal. We live with people. Thank you, Lita. There is a question. I think you're the last person. Lita. Good evening.
I just have one question.
Lita, by the way, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I just have one question. Sometimes it's really hard to keep up with academics when you're at home. Maybe because of all the distractions, and maybe give me some practical advice rather than being responsible and stuff. Some practical advice maybe that I can lean on, because sometimes it's not being as serious or focused at home as maybe it is at school.
I'm going to cut you short a bit. Lita, I cannot hear. I've just heard advice. What kind of advice? That's what I heard. Your phone is vibrating. It is echoing. I can't hear some of the words.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just requesting for advice, like some practical knowledge on how to remain as focused at home as I would be at school, because at home there's so many distractions and it's not very easy to remain focused.
The first thing is to make a timetable. Even when you are at home, do you know why schools have timetables? So that they can be able to run their activities properly and accordingly and in time. You can also make a personal timetable. Make a personal timetable. You are at home, you need to know the time what time are you going to wake up? Are you going to be the lady or the young girl who sleeps up to 11 a.m. because there is no one pulling you out of bed? There is no bell that is going to ring. The parents have gone to work. Nobody's going to tell you to come out of your bed. Are you going to be that kind of person? And how much are you going to achieve? Have you heard of the saying, an early bird catches the worm? It might be a saying, but it teaches us something. If we want to be productive, we should begin early in the morning. So even if you wake up at 8 in the morning, you still need to do some other things within the house. You're not just going to wake up and then switch on the TV or pick your phone. And by the way, they say that if the first thing you touch is your phone, the moment you get out of bed, even before you brush, you pull out your phone. Sweetheart, consider yourself addicted. And you need now to start working on getting rid of that addiction because it can cripple you. So, draw a timetable and know that if I'm at home, this is my wake up time. If I wake up at 9, very late in the morning, if it is 9 o'clock, what is the first thing I should do? Probably personal administration. After that, what am I going to do? Am I going to switch on the TV first? If I have to revise my books, why can't I give them some time, probably from 11 to 1? Let me start with some bit of housework in the home, and then 11 to 1, I do my personal reading. Then I have the afternoon to myself. Start with a personal timetable. That is the best way. It is the best practical advice I can give. And when you write that timetable, be committed enough to stick to it.
Okay, thank you so much.
To stick to the timetable. So that you know that I'm supposed to wake up early in the morning, then I do some bit of housework. Then after that, I go to my books. Then I watch whatever shows that I have to watch later. But remember we said that if you spend most of your time, you have a lot of time for screen time, you will be distracted the more. But if you have a timetable and you probably even switch off your phone during that time, you will be able to hang in there. I know it is beautiful. The social media is very attractive. The phone is very attractive. The TV shows are very attractive. But when you are in vacation, you'll find that you watch all those things and even get tired. You'll be on the phone and even get tired. So at this moment, when you have to concentrate on your books, draw your timetable and know what is it I'm supposed to do at this particular time. When should I give myself a break? What should I do in my break? Have a routine. Whenever you don't have a routine, you'll just find yourself picking up your phone and doing your own thing. I think that will help. Oh, we still have other hands are coming up. Subi. Subi, your hand is up. We have around 6 minutes to go, I think. Subi, your hand is up. Okay, ask your question. I see you have unmuted. Okay, I can't hear Subi. Subi, maybe you write in the chat. Then there is Nero. I hope that's how we pronounce the name.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm fine. Now, for me, I have a challenge. Me, I've never had a best friend, not even like a close friend for a full term. Now, I don't know if the problem is with me or the people around me, but the problem can't be with the people around me since like it's not like everyone has a problem. So generally the problem is with me and I can't identify the problem to why I can't have a close friend.
What is your personality like? Are you an outgoing person? Are you, closed in, reserved? You fear talking to people? What kind of person are you?
Generally, I am not that kind of a social person. I like doing things alone. I find myself alone most of the time, but I don't like being alone, but I find myself alone.
Alone. And whenever you find yourself alone, what do you do? Do you continue in your being alone?
Yes.
Do you try to join groups?
Yes, I try, but I always feel like a misfit, like I don't belong.
Okay. So now that is the first thing you need to change about yourself. Why do you say you don't belong? These are girls. They are in your school. Maybe they are also boys. I don't know if you are in a mixed school. They are probably the same age. You are probably in the same class. So there is a lot in common that you have. Are we together? So why do you feel that you don't belong? So ask
Like,
yourself, but you don't have to answer that here. You don't have to answer it here. But you ask yourself, why do I feel that I don't belong? And if I don't belong, are there activities? Activities in school, they are the ones that always begin the friendships because they bring out the commonness we have with other people. And before we know it, we start to relate. But whenever you're closed in and reserved and you keep away, you keep inside, you join a group and you feel you don't belong, you're not part of the activity. Even other people, like I said, will not know what to do with you. They will not know what to do and they'll also keep away. So try to be out there, be part of the activities. And when I say be part of the activities, I don't mean be a social butterfly that you're everywhere. You are in choir, you are in sports, you are in leadership, you are this, you are that. There are people who have that kind of personality and it's okay. But if you're just trying to learn to be there, then find an activity that you think can really help you relate with the people. A sports activity would be good. Are we together? Do you play any sports? Do you engage in any sports?
no.
Do you think you can play any sport? Can you interest yourself in anything?
Yes.
Start by doing that. If you do that, you'll find slowly by slowly you'll be able to open up and feel free around people, and you'll be able to engage with people, and you'll be able to make a few friends here and there. And when we make friends, we are not talking about best friends. They are not exactly best friends, but as long as we have people that we can talk to, they are good enough. They are acquaintances, they are colleagues. That is okay, as long as we are able to relate. Okay, so Sheila, Nero, I hope that will help.
Ask your question. And you are told sometimes you hide the person
Sheila, you need to change position. I can't hear you. Nero, I don't know if you're talking. I see your microphone on. Okay, 2 people to go. Sheila, you have the floor. Sheila, you have the floor. Okay, maybe we have Subi. Subi Will, you have the floor. Subi, you have the floor. So, Mr. Kaziba.
Mr. Juliet, I want to maybe cross-check here in the chat. Okay, there's so this question was, Madam, how can you help a person who's a phone addict?
Oh. How can you help a person who is a phone addict? So, Mr. Kaziba, maybe you can answer that very well, because I know in terms of technology, you're better than me. I know that there are new technologies where you can put a tab on the time you want to spend on your phone, that when you set 2 hours and you set that time, when 2 hours come, it will kind of close or remind you. And that's where your discipline comes in, whether to maintain it or not. There is that kind of technology. I've heard rumors that it's there. I've not heard about it. I mean, I've not seen it. I've not used it, but I've heard. Now, you as a person. So, first of all, this person needs to be educated what the detrimentals of being addicted to a phone are. This is a form of addiction, meaning that addiction is no different from any other addiction. If you are addicted to your phone, somehow, somewhere, you're no better than a person who is addicted to alcohol and drugs. You might not run mad like the other person, but the time you spend on your phone will probably take away the profitable time that you would have used to do other things. So pay attention to that. So people need to be educated. They need to know, like I said, that if the first thing you touch the moment you get out of your bed, or even before you get out, you pick your phone to check your messages and etc., start considering yourself addicted. There should be a time as to when you start checking your phone, because, my dear, you're not in the work world that there are emails that you have to answer immediately, that there are things that you have to respond to immediately. That is excusable. If you are in the work world, that you have to check things before you get to the office, you are just a student. You are just a student. So I don't think there is something that urgent that means, or that makes you pick your phone first thing in the morning, or that makes you stay on your phone up to very late in the night. Yet we know that we need the beauty sleep to help us beat the stress. Right. So all those things. So we need to speak to that person. If you can also even check. There is a lot of information. Check what are the disadvantages of overuse of screen time, and maybe educate this person. This person might be all about enjoyment without knowing that there is something wrong that is happening. So maybe if you educate that person about these things, it will be of help, because usually that is the first step anyway. Anything else?
Okay, I think you have answered. In fact, there are some apps I'm going to share that can help him, whereby once you set that app, you can set the time, and then once that time reaches, you cannot be able to access the screen. Okay.
Okay, so there is a complaint here, or a reminder. Someone is saying you're taking forever. Yeah, so thank you for being accountable for our time and reminding us, especially since we started late. You're very right, because now people have to go and do other things. So we really understand we are taking forever, but I hope we have benefited from the session. That when we go back, I'm really happy that people were pointing out self-awareness, meaning they attended and they remember. So now, also next time we have something else, I hope you'll be practicing accountability and being responsible, both socially, personally, and academically.
Okay, thank you so much, Teacher Juliet. I think we are going to end at this point. We want to thank you so much for this wonderful session, and let me hope all the students, you have picked something. We are going to be sharing the PowerPoint and also the recording for this session in the different WhatsApp groups. And I know next week we shall have another session. Teacher Juliet will tell us which topic we can handle. But I think we shall first discuss whether we shall have parents or teachers, or we shall have for students. But we shall let you know next week. Thank you so much, students. And also I know there might have been some parents on the call and teachers. Thank you so much for joining in. Tomorrow we shall have our normal lessons. And let me wish you a good evening. Thank you so much, everyone.
Good evening and bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.